Hi, and welcome to the Number One Comic Show, where we talk about number one issues and first appearances of famous comic book characters. I'm Tom Scioli, author of Jack Kirby, The Epic Life of the King of Comics. I am Stan, a graphic biography of the legendary Stan Lee, and Jack Kirby's Star Warriors, starring Adam Starr in the Solar Legion. I'm also the author of WITCHMAN, a new superhero comic book, which recently had a successful Kickstarter campaign. This is really nice. It's one of these treasury-sized full reproductions of old comics that DC would do in the 70s. This is a beautiful, oversized reproduction of Batman #1. And Batman #1 came out like a year after Batman's first appearance in Detective Comics #27. So obviously it's not the first appearance of Batman. It's not the first appearance of Robin, although Robin debuted, shortly before this. But it is the first appearance of the Joker. As most comics were at this time, it's an anthology, a bunch of different stories. Unlike Detective Comics at the time, this is mostly Batman stories, with maybe like one or two other characters mixed in. But there are two Joker stories here. So Joker premieres and gets to double dip. So I really like what they do here, how they have this kind of cardstock cover, and then the interior is a large glossy reproduction of the cover of the comic. So it's almost like this cover is like a protective sleeve for the comic inside. And there's a little note from Carmine Infantino. Last February, the Batman lost a father, one of his two real fathers, that is. Bill Finger, who wrote the first Batman stories, including those in this magazine, died at the age of 60. Bill Finger died, was sort of the largely uncredited writer and co-creator of Batman and many of his early stories, and he had died, and he's getting a little shout out here. He's a really tremendously talented comics creator and really, an unsung hero, never quite got his due and never really benefited from the co-creation of Batman. He was sort of left out in the cold, while Bob Kane got all the credit. It's nice that, Carmine's kind of correcting the record here, although it would have been nice if it would have happened while he was alive. Great iconic cover. And this is great. You see this comic and you're like, Batman #1, Batman's origin presented for the first time. The legend of the Batman, who he is and how he came to be. And all the beats are there. The mugging, the stick up, where his parents get killed. Thomas Wayne, he witnesses it, tearfully vows to avenge their deaths by spending the rest of my life warring on all criminals. Becomes a master scientist, trains his body to physical perfection until he is able to perform amazing athletic feats. And yeah, we get this little moody shot where he's sitting, Dad's estate left me wealthy. I am ready, but first I must have a disguise. Criminals are a superstitious, cowardly lot, so my disguise must be able to strike terror into their hearts. Must be a creature of the night, black, terrible, As if in answer, a huge bat flies in the open window. A bat, that's it. It's an omen. I shall become a bat. And thus is born this weird figure of the dark, this avenger of evil, the Batman. I am pretty shocked. These early, like the first year of Batman, these are really amazing comics, and just how much of the legend is spelled out here. And we've seen other depictions of this, from Frank Miller and Dave Mazzucchelli, and then even in the movies. And like these sort of most resonant moments are all here in the legend. And so now we get the introduction of the Joker. Batman has that appeal that a lot of these Golden Age comics have, where there's something like very beautiful and very accomplished and very refined about the artwork, but then also something kind of, primitive and amateurish at the same time. And I mean, looking at, this, layout and the Joker's face, it's like, it's so bizarre looking and so off, but so right. Just really wonderful. And so we have this couple listening to the radio. And tonight at precisely 12 o'clock midnight, I will kill Henry Claridge and steal the Claridge diamond. Do not try to stop me. The Joker has spoken. This sort of, random couple listening to the radio, and they dismiss it as, that's just a gag, like that fellow who scared everybody with that story about Mars the last time. Haha, pay no attention to it, dear. The Orson Welles War of the Worlds radio stunt being referenced there, which was not that too far in the past at this point. This guy who was predicted to be killed at midnight, he's got police entourage around him to protect him, and then midnight strikes. I'm still alive. I'm not dead. I'm safe. Then, without warning, dead. It isn't possible. And yet, Chief, look at his mouth. It's horrible, grotesque. The Joker brings death to his victims with a smile, and he's got that Joker smile. This is in the Michael Keaton Batman movie. This has been in many comics, and it's such a great gimmick, and it's all right there. And even thinking about The Dark Knight with Heath Ledger and how like a big part of those plots were sort of referencing this, where they're protecting somebody, they got an army of police around them, and they can't do a thing because the Joker is just that dangerous. They open up the safe. The diamond is safe and sound in there, but he did get it. This is a phony. It's glass. Chief, I found something in here. It was underneath the case, the sign of the Joker. And then even the Joker's lair here, it's so great. And it does, it looks like the kind of hideouts that they'd have in the Batman series in the 60s. So again, it's, the groundwork is, it's just all here. And then this great shot of the Joker without his grin for a moment. And this is based on an illustration that was in a Doc Savage pulp novel. There's a lot of image appropriation in early Batman comics. And yeah, just this moody face, and again, looking like the Heath Ledger Joker before, getting into his sort of classic grin and plotting all kinds of mischief. And now, Dick Grayson and Bruce Wayne are hearing about this Joker and waiting to make their move. Now there's another guy being threatened to die at midnight. Gas fills the room, and it turns out this suit of armor, the Joker was inside it. And, he's got the smiling gas. This guy's got the smile and all the other police in the room. But he says something about how the gas just had a temporary effect on the police, but this guy he hit with a dart, which has a stronger dose. So their smiles will fade, but his deadly smile is going to last forever. And now this is like another thing that comes up in the Michael Keaton Batman movie. It came up in the Heath Ledger Dark Knight, but where, the organized crime of the city doesn't like this Joker. He's shaking things up too much. So they're going to make a move to get rid of him. And now Batman's going into action. We got some of the sort of redundant captioning that people use to sort of put down comics as a medium. But the sensational news that Brute Nelson is gunning for the Joker travels the criminal grapevine. The Batman is ready to go into action. I'm going to the home of Brute Nelson. I heard some news today over the grapevine that makes me think the time is right. He heard it through the grapevine. I heard it through the grapevine. Maybe the grapevine and the time is ripe is some sort of pun there. And so now Brute Nelson is at home. The Joker, eh? When I get through with him, he'll be a joke, all right. Talking about me? The Joker. Very neat. That ugly head of yours does have a brain. Sure, I knew if you got sore enough, you'd come for me. And Batman's waiting there. Jumps down the steps. And just lots of action in these early issues, too. Nice sock in the jaw. Hits him over the head with this chair. Have a seat, boys. There's enough room on this chair for two. And the Joker gets off a shot as he's heading out the door. Batman's on his trail, jumps alongside the car. They're wrestling with the gun. The car goes over the bridge. Now there's a fist fight. The struggling men fall to the bridge. As they rise, the Joker explodes a haymaker off the Batman's jaw. I'm going to kill you. A wicked kick rakes the Batman's head. Blast you, fall! The murderous Joker pushes the helpless Batman off the bridge. Fight the Joker, will you? Let that be a lesson to you. A permanent lesson. The shock of cold water quickly revives the Dark Knight. Wow, my head feels as if it were going to burst any moment. So I like this. I like that the Joker is like a physical match for Batman. He's as good in a fight as Batman. And I miss that in the comics. You don't see that. Sometimes you see that in the comics, but not so much. Batman usually like way outclasses the Joker in combat. You see it in the 1960s TV show. You see it in Michael Keaton's Batman, where he just takes apart the Joker with no trouble at all. And Heath Ledger gives him more of a run for his money, but when it's like a one-on-one fight, Batman definitely dominates. So I like this. And you could, story-wise, chalk it up to, this is Batman in his earliest days. He's still learning his craft. And by the time he's, fully formed, mature Batman, the Joker, can't stand up to him. But I like this dynamic. I'm a fan of this. It seems I've at last met a foe that can give me a good fight. However, I'm not licked yet. Not quite. That's kind of the point of supervillains. Yeah, Batman can mow down a gang of run-of-the-mill gangsters, but this is the Joker. This is a guy in Batman's class. Judge Drake, you once sent me to prison. For that you will die. Death will come at 10. The Joker has spoken. It's now 8 o'clock. 2 hours. And so now they're waiting with the judge. They're playing cards. Again, this motif, this frame right here, more or less, ends up in The Killing Joke by Alan Moore and Brian Boland. So I'm, just knowing Alan Moore and knowing Brian Boland and his fandom of classic Batman, I don't think it's an accident. I think it was a very specific decision, and the whole card game. And anytime you're dealing with the Joker, playing cards do make a good motif to sort of reinforce that. And it turns out this police officer who's there guarding him is the Joker in disguise. And Robin, trails the Joker as he's leaving the house, trails him to this deserted old house and gets knocked on the back of his head. Batman's following him, and it turns out, there's a lot of gimmickry in these early Batman stories. And as a precaution, this invention of mine will come in handy now. The soles of both Robin and the Batman's boots are treated with luminous chemical that glows only in the light of the infrared ray. And so he's got this infrared flashlight that he shines where he can find his footprints. So this is a precaution. This is Batman painted his and Robin's soles ahead of time, for just such an occasion. He comes in, Joker's about to inject Robin. Batman swings into action, gives him a big punch. Joker grabs a gun, shoots him, but it's not an ordinary gun. It's a gun with Joker's, smile toxin. And you can see in this panel, if you look close, Batman's got a big smile on his face. But the Joker has not reckoned with the amazing recuperative powers of the mighty Batman. Robin, tied, got to get out of here. So he's got a little bit of the Wolverine healing factor. He's got the Wolverine ears. He definitely looked even more like Wolverine in his first appearance. By now, he has turned more or less into the classic Batman. He doesn't quite look like that sort of beautiful, primitive Batman of the first issue. He's now a sort of, classic formula. They sneak up on the Joker. He's shooting at them. Again, great action. He throws the gun, jumps, fights Robin for a little bit, falls. And again, just like in the Heath Ledger Joker from Dark Knight, Batman isn't going to just let him fall to his death. You're too valuable a prize to lose. You played your last hand, Joker. A final blow with all the strength of the Batman behind it. Batman captures Joker, leaves Joker in front of police station, drives away. Joker's behind bars, but he is smiling away. He knows this is only temporary. They can't keep me here. I know of a way out. The Joker will yet have the last laugh. And as a matter of fact, he doesn't even stay in jail this whole issue. He busts out before the end of this comic. And so we get a little comedy here. And then we get a pretty cool story that we can check out in another episode of, Batman versus the Giants. Some pretty grim stuff. Yeah, we'll check this out another time. And then we have a little text story. And then we have Meet the Artist. Readers, meet Bob Kane, creator of the Batman. This seems like it's written by Kane. And then this photo here, I can't tell if this is like a photo or a drawing. It looks kind of bizarre. It looks like either like a highly retouched photo or a drawing from a photo that's like a little bit off. I'm guessing, if it is a drawing, I'm guessing it's by Bob Kane, because it's got like his, there's something off about the way he draws, which, like I said, isn't a bad thing. I think he wrote this too. Just the style of it, it's very braggadocious. There's some parts of it that feel like myth-making, that for a time he worked as a seaman on a boat plying South American waters. This is an interesting note here. Bob is certainly not a copyist. His work shows a definite originality and freshness, which has attracted many fervent fans. That seems also like an odd inclusion. Like, why would you go out of your way to say, hey, I'm not a copyist? The early Batman comics are full of swipes and full of copies, and then there's sort of controversy about, how much of this drawing is Bob Kane, how much of this is his ghosts. So it just seems like an odd inclusion, kind of like, very defensive, very incriminating, very suspicious. And then this part, he studies constantly, striving always to improve his work. If he has a free hour or two, he is very likely to spend it at one of the local medical colleges studying anatomy, for he well realizes that only by a thorough knowledge of bone and muscle structure is an artist able to inject into his drawings the true expression of action and motion, which is so necessary to this type of art. Again, that feels a little... My bullshit detector's going off. Bob Kane has worked hard, is still working hard, and will continue to work hard to give you just the sort of thing which you have come to expect in the Batman. We predict ever-increasing success for both the artist and the creation of his facile pen, and they both deserve that success. So just interesting. Worth reading in full if you ever get a copy of this. And we get a Robin story that kind of focuses on Robin. Nice little adventure where Robin gets to shine. But again, we're focusing on the first appearance of the Joker. So let's skip ahead to that. The Joker returns. Such a big star returns within the same issue. And it does make me wonder, since the Batman comics had been running in Detective Comics alongside a bunch of other things, it makes me wonder if, maybe they didn't intend to have two Joker stories in the same comic. It's just maybe they decided, okay, let's take this backlog of Batman stories and just put out a Batman #1 that's like as many Batman stories as we have unpublished. Let's do this. And so maybe this was originally intended to run in a different issue of Detective Comics. I don't know, but in any case, there is some breathing room inside this comic between those stories, enough time for you to sort of miss the Joker and then have him come back. Jail me, will they? A man of my intellect? I'll escape and make them pay for this insult. And that Batman and the boy, if I ever meet them again. But first, I must escape. Now. No prison can hold him. And he's got that hat that Jack Nicholson would wear in the movie. Inside each tooth is a chemical, which when mixed together forms a powerful explosive, my means of escape. So yeah, lots of great gimmicks. Batman's got his gimmick, so does Joker. And he busts out, freedom, au revoir, gentlemen, till we meet again. Newsflash, the Joker's on the loose. Love this stuff. Great, Golden Age comics stuff of the Joker's silhouette skulking through a graveyard. So moody. I mean, Batman, I'm telling, that first year of Batman, there's nothing better. And he's in his lab cooking up more trouble. He's talking to the chief of police. He calls the police station and yells, Joker. And that yell kills this officer. See there in his ear? A dart. Must have had that Joker poison on it. Sure, the Joker must have set it in the receiver. He blasted a word into it, strong enough to set up vibrations that blew the dart into the ear. Clever guy, eh? Talk about preparation. He stuck a little tiny dart into the phone that's activated by loud noise, shouting his name, the Joker, and shoots it in this guy's ear. A famous painting stolen, and all that's left is a Joker playing card. A rare gem is stolen. The owner grinning in death. Joker is, a one-man crime wave. As the clock strikes the fatal hour, the lid of a mummy case quietly opens. We see this little purple glove, and out comes the Joker, blasting away. Batman flies into action, and again, the Joker is definitely a match for Batman. Why don't you laugh now, Mr. Joker? I will yet laugh, my friend. Grabs this axe, swings it down at Batman. This is great stuff. A sheer, desperate twist of the Batman's body, and the mace gives him a glancing blow on the side of his head. The police come in. Joker's got to get out. Batman at this time is an outlaw, too. The Batman. Well, we have caught somebody And now I'm going to do something I've wanted to do for a long time. Take off the Batman's mask and see who he really is. A hand reaches out to wrench off Batman's cowl. A beat that ends up in the Michael Keaton Batman movie. It wasn't a police officer that tries to unmask him. It was one of the Joker's goons. Will the cowl be taken off? If the Batman is revealed as Bruce Wayne, his career as a nemesis of crime is finished. Is this the end of the mighty Batman? Nice little bit of suspense here and dragging it out with another panel. But Batman springs into action. Sorry, boys, but I'm not quite ready for jail. Stop him. He's going to try a drop to the ground. Action-packed. It is really fun when, in these early adventures, when Batman is an outlaw as well, smashes through the window. Again, lots of action, does a bunch of acrobatics. And now they're calling for the capture of the Joker. So the Joker's going to get this guy, Edgar Martin, passing the time, playing cards. This is what people did before they had cell phones. He got a paper cut from the deck. Pulls out a card, a Joker. The next card, a Joker. Jokers, all Jokers. A whole deck of Jokers. Again, really nice sequence. Never saw that in any of the Batman movies, but that would be a pretty cool one. And then he dies, and it turns out the cards were extra sharp and the edges were poisoned, and that's how he got him. Bruce Wayne's talking to Commissioner Gordon, and unlike their conversation in Batman's first appearance, Detective number 27, where Batman's sort of playing like the Zorro role of the bored playboy and shows no real interest or knack for crime fighting when he's talking to his friend Commissioner Gordon, but this time he's got an idea. He's like, evidently the Joker likes jewels because most of his crimes concern their theft. Now why not give him a jewel to steal that would trap him? So they're setting up a trap. The fire ruby again, so much publicity. Could it be a trap? How I would like to own the gem. Jewels, my pretty jewels, how I would love to add the fire ruby to my collection. I must have it, I must. And so now he's gonna try to steal it. Great silhouettes, his hideout in the graveyard sneaks in. I really like this panel, the simplicity of it. And it is a trap. He starts shooting away. Try to get the Joker, will you? The Joker makes for the roof. There's Robin. He chases after the Joker. It's a rooftop chase. The Joker knocks Robin off the roof. He's flying down, saved by a flagpole. Maybe the first incidence of this. I've seen it in a lot of comics. I've seen Daredevil do it, but maybe this is the first superhero comic where somebody grabs a flagpole to break their fall. I didn't hear the boy's body hit the ground. Perhaps he... So you didn't after all. In that case, I'll finish the job. Joker, stop. Batman! In their previous adventure, the Joker shot at the Batman, and Batman revealed that he wears a bulletproof vest. As a kid reading Batman comics, I don't think that was canon. I don't think he wore a bulletproof vest. But Frank Miller would use that in Dark Knight Returns. I know you wear a bulletproof vest. This time I'm going to shoot at your head. The Joker is still trump card. The pole that Robin's on breaks. He swings down. He jumps off of an awning, which again, maybe this is the first time that happens in a superhero comic. I don't know. And lands on the Joker. Mind if I drop in on you? A very Robin thing to say. Mr. Joker, when I get through with you, you'll look like the deuce. Looks like your house of cards is tumbling. So yeah, Batman is good with a pun himself. Wrestling over this knife, and the Joker in the tussle stabs himself in the chest. And he's pleased as punch about it. Again, that sort of agent of chaos that the Joker is, laughing and tickled by his own demise. Really beautiful stuff. I mean, the Joker ends up being one of the great enduring characters of comics and cinema, and again just works really well in any medium. And we're seeing his birth and death. The Joker has played his last hand and lost. Joker, this time you couldn't win. The cards were stacked against you. Look, still grinning in death. Yes, and when the flesh is gone, the grinning skull will still carry the sign of the Joker into eternity. Deep stuff. That's deep. And the police find the Joker dead. What's the matter, Doc? You look as if you've seen a ghost. I might have. I just examined this man. He's still alive, and he's going to live. The Joker survives. He lives on, which my recollection of this story was that the Joker died and then, sort of miraculously shows up again the next time you see him with no real explanation. But I guess it is there from day one. Just great stuff. Great first and second appearance of within the same issue of one of the all-time great characters, probably one of the few villains who's a superstar in his own right, and was in his own hit movie with a sequel coming soon. I'm Tom Scioli, author of Jack Kirby, The Epic Life of the King of Comics. I Am Stan, a graphic biography of the legendary Stan Lee, and Jack Kirby's Star Warriors, The Adventures of Adam Star and the Solar Legion. I'm also the author of WITCHMAN, a new superhero comic book, which recently had a successful Kickstarter campaign. I'll see you next time for the #1 Comics Show.